Please join me in welcoming Dr. Adil Alzarooni.
I wanted to design a school that's optimized as a normal school, but has that one notch, one edge in handling students with minor special education needs. I started building the school and voila, Corona hit. Yeah, Corona wasn't the best time to invest in schools. So it wasn't easy. But then it was a blessing in disguise. I needed to dwell deep in what a curriculum of a school is. And bear in mind, I'm not an educator. Yeah, I'm an engineer, and I'm an investor so I'm more of a money manager. But then I needed to get into a curriculum. And there came a day, an instant, where I asked myself, while going through a curriculum, say, what is it that if I have learned back in at school days, it would have made my life easier? Today, you live in a society whereby you get educated for X amount of years. Most people get jobs and produce income for X amount of years. Then they retire at a certain age so that they leave room for the next generation, which is usually, for the last 200 years, used to be a bigger number of people. This is how they pay us pension. Because as a generation, they are bigger in number, they make income for themselves and for us as pensioners. Yeah? But that is going to change because the future generation is less in numbers than our generation. So the whole concept of retirement will have to be demolished. So what you think is the norm is no longer going to be the norm. The world will change quite drastically. So we've done a study, actually a primary research as a school, on what matters, and we did a quantitative, and we started with a qualitative one, and then we did a quantitative study. What matters to parents? And the top 3 ones were creative thinking, mental well-being. See mental well-being? Yeah? And confidence. This is what they care for as parents the most. They believe that digital literacy is important. They want their kids to be resilient. They believe that entrepreneurship is crucial. And luckily speaking, especially at Citizens as my school, 70% of my parents are entrepreneurs. Most of them believe that the existing educational offering does not satisfy their ambitions. They are willing to try with a new school because the existing schools do not deliver on them. So they took the risk. I'm very thankful for their trust in us, but then we needed to deliver on an education experience that is relevant to the needs. Top 3 skills parents believe should be taught in school is decision making, public speaking, and money management. Interesting, isn't it? 46% of parents would like to see entrepreneurship being cultivated by school. 41% believe that alternative learning pathways beyond exam-based teaching needs to exist. Look at these 3 skills that parents believe the schools are the least capable of. Resilience, inclusivity, and entrepreneurship. They believe that schools have failed in delivering on these 3. They believe that some of these technologies are key, like AI, crypto. This was before the crypto meltdown. Metaverse, blockchain, NFTs. Beyond the quality of education, parents would like to see the following introduced by schools: community involvement, outdoor learning, equal learning, more field trips, on-site sports facilities. Co-curricular activities. We actually took on ourselves to create academies at the school. We are creating ventures at the school. So the school has a venture studio. And the venture studio starts with actually teachers. We get teachers involved in an 18-month program to build 3 to 4 ventures to build 3 to 4 ventures at the same time. Now, why is that important? To handle statistics. If you know that, statistically speaking, 1 out of 10 survive 3 years, 1 out of 10 ventures survive 3 years. Actually, in a venture studio style, 1 out of 3 survives 3 years. So the failure rate is 70% versus 90%, which is not bad. So we started with entrepreneurship. So we have a venture studio at the school. We created an entrepreneurship curricular pathway. So added activities. We went from FS to grade 8 now, and by the time within the next 3 years we'll evolve it to grade 12. Mindset, vocational subjects, health and well-being. We are evolving an excellence center at the school, and we need to introduce health and well-being curricular activities. Sustainable leadership. I've established a vertical farm at the school. It's a classroom. Students get to learn vertical farming, sustainable farming, and we are creating curricular items there. Actually, citizens used to, the original name was global citizens. Then I decided I want one word, and we took away global. But basically, we need to emphasize on arts, creativity, diversity, inclusivity, and so on. Mentoring, we don't call them teachers. We call them mentors. Why? Because they are not the vessel of knowledge anymore. It's TikTok now. Yes? So they can't be the vessel of knowledge anymore. The best they can do is to mentor kids, mentor students, to know how to find their own answers, to know how to ask questions, and they need to know how to find the answers with discipline and while being safeguarded. So that is their role. If you want to learn medicine, you become a doctor, yeah, an MD, who would be teaching you? A doctor, yeah? Yeah, a doctor. But if you want to learn business, who would be teaching you at the school? Is it a businessman? It's not a businessman. Isn't it sad? It's quite sad. It's like, what? But then find a businessman that will teach. So if you can't find a businessman that will teach, you have to manufacture. Convert teachers to businessmen. Am I right? So this is what we do. We have to convert teachers to venture builders so that they understand, they have to become entrepreneurs themselves so that they can teach. Am I right? So this is how we convert them to mentors. With professional development. Collaboration. So I'm not for the super entrepreneur. I don't like that. I'm not for unicorns. I'm not for that. These are statistically so remote it's useless to talk about them actually. What I care about is entrepreneurial teams, because it's always about a team. It's never about an individual. And that entrepreneurial teams should aspire to feed themselves and their families and add value to their community more so than becoming a unicorn. Yeah? So, collaboration. The sad part, we never grow entrepreneurial teams out of schools. We always grow selfish individuals that are ideal employees. That's sad, isn't it? It is. Yeah? So how do we grow entrepreneurial teams? If individuals can't gauge their capabilities and the capabilities of people around them, be able to communicate an idea and bring them together to produce a solution, then we have failed. Everything needed to be so scientifically linked with well-being. So we created actually our own primary research on the teaching environment. And I went to the architects when I asked them what's the ideal human life, ideal human day. They was like, what? They couldn't answer me. I said, guys, go and give me a research. They couldn't do it. So we did it. We did it, and then I threw a whole thick document in front of architects. I said, you design to deliver on the thick document. I want an ideal environment based on science, and this is what they did. So nice design with a lot of collaboration spaces that encourages connectivity and has a lot of sustainability elements. The interior, the rooms are a bit larger than the average, lot of common areas for additional support. And I have a very nice football pitch with Real Madrid. So if you have nice pool with Speedo, basketball with NBA. So a lot of, actually we've designed our own furniture. So furnitures are not desks, they are actually tables. They are always people around each other. And the tables are whiteboards actually, so to entice collaboration. So it never would look like a factory. Yeah. And you know what, parents today, this is the experience of the parents. They get into school, they drop their kids, there's a cafe at the reception with a nice coffee shop. They take their coffee, they sit and start working. So it becomes a collaboration area. Then they go to the gym. So there's a whole full-fledged gym. They exercise and then they go to their workplace. Meaning, next step for me is to surround the kid with entrepreneurs. Not only teachers, the parents also. And by the time they arrive to the right age, they will start venture building at the school. Now, is this a revolution in education? I don't like to call it that. What I like to call it is that it's just a distinguished offering. An offering that would appeal to people that have certain ambitions and certain aspirations. So if you like gaming, by the way, we have introduced an academy at the school called Unisportsity, which the vision behind it is that we want to evolve gaming for skilling. And I think there's a lot of future in doing so. If you are a gamer already, you'll have fun.
Teacher who is not a trained teacher. I came into education after running my own business in Australia and then also here in the UAE. So, my question to you is, one of the challenges that we currently have in education is that the government is pushing kids into sciences, maths, and what I call the hard skills. The business, economics, creative industries are being pushed aside as electives.
Yeah, of course.
Unnecessary frippery, basically.
Yes.
So you've obviously flipped the model.
Yes.
How can we convince the power brokers that are causing this to look at what you're doing and try and implement it elsewhere?
Let them visit the school. Let them see it. They have to see it. Because once they see it, there's no unseeing. There's no unseeing. And we have to ask them the questions. The thing is, we've been grinded in an engine for the last 200 years. To change is hard. They are also employees. Let's not forget, they went through the same education system. Yeah. So I think the best way, I don't believe criticism is the way. That's egoistic. That's not an approach that I would ever encourage. I think the best way is to show them.
How early do you begin the entrepreneur?
Age 4.
Really?
Yes.
And what does that kind of look like in terms of like practice?
So initially just encouraging creative thinking. Kids asking the questions, having some stupid answers, beautiful. The sad part is, if I show you some studies, they found that at an earlier age, in a certain class, in a certain method, 95% of kids were perceived as to be creative. And they monitored them through the education system. And by the time they graduated, they were only 19% that we classify. So tell me, who's killing creativity? It's the education system.
I was wondering if you give us like a quick tip, because I believe that we should teach the way we preach. So I think we should be taking risk ourselves, and then in order to help students follow up in our footsteps. So do you have like some quick tips for teachers to start working on now, starting from now?
So thank you for the question. It's a good question. It's a great question. There's no tips. There's hard work. And let me explain what does that mean. For you to think that entrepreneurs are born entrepreneurs, that's wrong, because with that definition, actually entrepreneurs are crazy people, because they build businesses and they fail, and then they stand up again. They build a business, they fail, they stand up again. In the eyes of society, those are crazy. These are mentally not stable, because they are going against the odds. So this is why you hear a lot of people say, you know, entrepreneurs have a different DNA thingy. No, it's a mental illness from that perspective, yeah? But to do it properly is to be trained to do it. And how do you train to do it? The best way, statistically, is that you multi-venture, knowing that 70% of what you'll do will fail. And if you spend your time and effort not putting all of your eggs in one basket, spending your money across different initiatives, spending your effort across different initiatives, doing that with the team consistently, statistically something has to work within the first 3 years. And unless you do that, you are exposing yourself to a much higher failure rate, which is 90%. Yeah? So it's statistics, it's science. It can be taught. Yes, entrepreneurship, creativity can be taught. Whoever says otherwise, I disagree with. Okay, I was crazy for 20 years, but now I know there's a method. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.